Worcester First Baptist Church in Barnesville, Georgia. I thought about starting this little get-together session with you by singing the song Back in the Saddle again, but I didn't want to run you away, so I decided not to do that. But it is good to be back. Coronavirus, of course, we had a difficult time with it. Those of us who went to Wyoming and did a mission trip there was not the fault of those folks who were there at all, of course, but we found out we were kind of part of the perfect storm, and by the time we got about halfway through our trip, we recognized that a number of our folks had been exposed to people who had COVID and didn't realize that as we left. So again, we're thankful to be back. Most of us are a whole lot better. Appreciate your prayers for Russ Jenkins in particular. Russ has had a harder struggle with COVID than most of us have. So please continue to keep him in your prayers. He's still home right now. Hope he'll be able to come back next week, but right now he's still home and struggling with some of the side effects of COVID. All of us, of course, you can be assured, did go into whatever quarantine that the CDC recommends for us. I was self-quarantined for 14 days and feel much better. Never really had difficult symptoms of this disease, but that doesn't mean that others can't. So please be careful. Watch yourself. Wear a mask, whenever you can. That's going to be one of the secrets of keeping from spreading this stuff. Our difficulty came when we were in a vehicle so close together for mile after mile after mile. And that's very difficult to keep from spreading it if somebody in the vehicle has it once that happens. So again, be as careful as you can possibly be. We would appreciate that greatly. Let me mention something just in terms of a little business here. This is typically the time of year when we elect deacons in our church family. Those deacons serve for a 3-year rotation, of course, and then they rotate off and we elect another group. But of course, typically doing that, what we give you as a church family is a nomination ballot. And that nomination ballot, of course, has the names of everyone in our church who is eligible to serve as a deacon in this next year or 2 or 3 years period of time. Normally, Russ Jenkins puts that nomination ballot together for us. And Russ, of course, being out of the saddle right now, means that he's not going to be able to do that for us, at least not in the next week or so. We can do that ourselves if we need to, but he has all of that at his fingertips, and we recognize that it would be best if he went ahead and did that. So what we're asking our folks to do is this. If you're an active deacon right now that was scheduled to rotate off in September, if you will, please just serve a little while longer. That will help us to get this election underway and help it work as smoothly as possible. Of course, when it comes time for the election, if we're still in phase 3 services, then in all likelihood, our election process will be both online as well as by paper ballot, if you want to come and pick up one of those. So again, please be patient with that for us, if you will. Just a difficult kind of time for us to do things, especially those that involve elections from our whole church family. And of course, that's what our deacon election does demand. COVID, of course, continuing to go on now. School starting back this week. All of us a little bit apprehensive about that. Just praying that there won't be a spike in the Lamar County COVID count as a result of being back in school. But one of the things, of course, we knew that we needed to do when we came back from Wyoming and recognized fairly quickly that we had some problems. And on that first Monday back, I was diagnosed positive for COVID. Recognizing that, we recognized that we needed to go back and follow the CDC guidelines for what we needed to do with regard to church. And because there were a number of us that came back contagious, we recognized that the best thing we could do is to go back to virtual services. And so we did that for the last 2 Sundays. Our virtual service has been very well done by Jason and Greg and all who helped us with that. We're very, very thankful. But, in the end, of course, we're not going to stay there. That was a temporary thing. The CDC guideline was to do that for 2 weeks. We've now done that for 2 weeks. And so this coming Sunday, on August 16th, we will come back to phase 3, InHouse Services. Now, what you need to understand about that is just a couple of things. Number one, we will have reservations. I'd hope we would not have to have that anymore. I don't like reservations any more than you do. But there are a couple of things that the reservations help us do during this strange time. One of them is it helps us with social distancing. We know who's going to be in each of our buildings, and therefore we can get them distanced to the appropriate length apart, and that helps us greatly. The other thing it keeps us from doing it keeps us from having to turn people away. If people don't make reservations and we have more people than the buildings can socially distance, then we have to turn somebody away. And we don't want to have to do that. So once again, we will have reservations. The other thing we're going to ask our folks to do is to wear a mask as you enter one of the worship centers, whether it be the gym or the sanctuary. We're asking you to wear a mask as you enter that area. And we're asking you to wear that mask as you leave that area. So as you come in and as you go out to these worship areas, we're going to ask you to wear your mask. Now, once you get seated, whether or not you wear your mask is going to be up to you. We're just trying to make things as safe as we can for people coming in and going out, which is when they're most susceptible to this virus. So, if you will, when you come in, please wear a mask. If you don't have a mask, we'll provide you with a mask. But of course, as you go out too, if you would please use this mask, we would appreciate that very, very, very much. This whole COVID mess has been a problem, and we understand that. This is driving us crazy. We're spending an inordinate amount of time dealing with COVID, just as your church staff. Much of our conversation revolves around COVID and how we're going to handle it this week, what we're going to do this week. So again, please be patient with us. We're trying to be patient with this whole mess. We understand the frustration of plans that were made and then needed to either be canceled or postponed because of the ever-changing circumstances of this COVID virus. We know that weddings have been delayed, funerals have been postponed, and worship services have gone through so many different phases that it's hard to keep up with them anymore for us. It really is. You know, sometimes I don't know whether I'm in phase 4 or phase 1, and we just go back and forth trying to get this thing right. But please remember something, God is still in control. God is still in control. From the 27th Psalm, there's a wonderful word. It says, "The Lord is the strength of his people, a fortress of salvation for his anointed one." And then Psalm 27 verses 13 and 14 says this, "I'm still confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord, be strong and take heart, and wait for the Lord." You know, we sing a song in church called "The Goodness of God." And we talk about the goodness of God is following after us. It's one wonderful portion, of course, of the 23rd Psalm, that near the end of that psalm says, "Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life." That's a picture, someone has made that a picture of the sheepdogs, one named goodness, the other named mercy, following us, just as we are sheep, and as we are sheep, we are at times led astray. Following us, keeping us in God's goodness all the days of our lives. Remember those words again from Psalm 27. "I am confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living." We just have to wait. Hope that you'll wait as well. Thank you for watching with us today. May God bless you. Be safe out there. Understand that this is a very, very tricky virus. And you may have people that you know are not contagious, and guess what? They don't even know that they are contagious. They're asymptomatic. They're not showing any signs of problems at all. And you think because of that, they're negative. You may think that you're negative because of that. But let me tell you something. This thing can whip down on anybody at any time. So be careful with it. Wear a mask when you go out. Be safe as you can be. And trust in the goodness of God. Thanks and God bless.